In this video, I get to chat with Leslie McBeth from Future Design School. Hello everyone, David Lee here. Last weekend I got the opportunity to attend the graduation of the new cohort of Google Innovators here in Singapore. I was really excited to see my friend and SAS teammate Chris Smith graduate after 3 long days of the academy. But I was also excited to see Leslie McBeth, the director of PD at Future Design School. We were both in the Mountain View cohort of the Google Innovator Academy in 2016, the first academy of Google Innovators. Instantly, when I found out that she was part of the team that was leading the Google Innovator Academy in Singapore, I knew I had to interview her because design thinking is what she does. That's what she teaches educators and students. So here's the interview. I hope you enjoy it. All right, thank you for joining us. Today I'm here with Les. We were actually in the same cohort for the Google Innovator Academy. A cool thing that we both experienced was to actually visit the D School because of Margaret and Ellen, I think. Yeah, they really helped us out. And you got to meet your mentor.
Yeah, well, my mentor, I wish, more like idol.
Right, sorry. Yeah, right, your idol.
If only David Kelly was my mentor.
I know, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just do you want to kind of just talk about what you do and specifically your school and that stuff?
Sure. So my name is Leslie McBeth. I help to run a company called Future Design School. So we are a school that teaches teachers, essentially. We don't actually teach students. There's no kids at our school. But we go out into other schools to help schools to transform their schools into innovation hubs where kids can sort of experiment and explore and problem solve, and using human-centered design and some project-based learning or personalized learning, sort of whatever the acronyms are that people are calling it these days, but really like creating those authentic experiences for kids.
So what was the reason for just starting this school? What was the need, I guess?
Yeah, I guess the real need that we saw was empowering students to be more entrepreneurial. Mm-hmm. I always say that there's like 2 things that I think we should give our kids in schools, and one is like the belief that they have ideas that matter, and the other is like helping them to see opportunities in challenges. And I think that too often in schools we focus on, I use this sort of what now what so, or what so what now what framework. Mm-hmm. So we focus a lot on what do kids need to know, like just memorize this information, regurgitate it back to us on an assignment, or like make the poster board that you basically copied and pasted from the internet, I don't think we don't really set the bar high enough for what kids can actually do. Right. And when you start to ask them the so what questions, which is like, so why is this important? Then they start to see the meaning in their learning. And then I think my favorite part of that I think design offers for kids especially is the now what, which is like, what are you going to do about it? So you just learned about this problem in the world. Don't just make a poster board about it. Like, how are you going to actually solve that problem? What are you going to do? And I think that's so empowering for kids. And in my experience, there's not enough of that in schools. It's happening in pockets, but like, how do we make that happen everywhere?
Right. How do you, like, with the work that your school is trying to do, how do you convince educators that design is something that fits in education? Not only education, but really literally everything. And how do you the past idea of what design was and to what you guys are doing, right? Yeah. So how do you do that?
I think at Future Design School, we work with schools on sort of like 3 different levels. So we work with school leaders to think about the transformation piece, like how are you going to actually redesign your school to create a culture that inspires innovation and that allows for these experiences for kids. And in that case, it's like human-centered design is an obvious way to do that. You've got this focus on empathy, of understanding the needs of your users, and schools are such a user-centered environment to begin with, where you have to think about what do our students need and how can we meet those needs. Yeah. So giving those frameworks to school leaders, I think, is a really great way to help them think about how they can actually transform their school on a holistic level. Yeah. And then in the classroom with teachers, we do a ton of professional development at Future Design School, and that's really, I think, about helping teachers to see the need for these core competency development in their students, right? So it's not just about content, but it's about creative thinking and collaboration and critical thinking and communication and citizenship and character and all those, like the 4 C's, the 8 C's, whatever you want to call them, But helping to see that teaching and learning in the classroom can be so much richer if you embed those things, and that it's going to be more meaningful and more impactful if the students deeply understand something. And I think design provides an avenue to do that in the classroom.
Right.
And sometimes we see people seeing design as this like other thing, like, and now the students go and do their design class.
Right.
And I think that's often, you mentioned this idea of like what people think design is. And I think people think of design as like people who make things look pretty,
right.
you know, or
Yeah,
like people
absolutely.
who make stuff.
Right.
But I believe that designers solve problems for people.
Yep.
And that's like really where the heart of it comes from. And I started my career in design back in like 2005. And that was really what we were doing, was helping to solve systemic problems, and not through making things look pretty, but rather through thinking about people.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, so what was the degree or?
So I worked in New York City for an organization called the Design Trust for Public Space.
Okay.
And so we were doing large-scale public transformation projects that were often working with city agencies, partnering them with architects and designers and engineers and policymakers to address citywide problems, like how might we make our taxi system more sustainable.
Really? Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
that sounds like an awesome job.
Yeah, it was a really awesome job. And actually it was that job I did a project with another organization in Brooklyn called the Center for Urban Pedagogy. And we brought in a number of 9th grade students into one of the projects we were doing in Brooklyn. And it was actually that experience of seeing these teenagers engage in a design process where they had a voice and they saw like the transformation happening in their community, and they felt like their ideas were being valued.
Yeah.
That's sort of what inspired me to quit my job in New York and move to Toronto and get my teaching degree.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if have you shared that with? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I've been doing this for a long time, but it's sort of something that's just like come about with Future Design School now, where it's like trying to spread that to other people. And so that's why like Future Design School was really like the marriage of sort of my like two passions of design and education and bringing those things together. And
that's so cool.
And I think that's like for teachers, I think teachers are naturally designers, but they don't realize it. Like we're every day we empathize with our students.
Absolutely.
And we try to figure out what their needs are and then help to solve those problems. And so I think when you give them design as a framework in the classroom, it just clicks. It's sort of like, oh yeah, I can do this with my kids, and then they have a framework for solving problems.
Right.
And then at Future Design School, we also do student programming, so we sort of work directly with students to help them to develop those skill sets as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah, your comment about teachers being designers, I totally agree.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes the education system, I don't know, something happens where that some teachers start to not think that way, right? And that's kind of sad to see.
Yeah.
You're talking about competencies. Education's obsessed with, seeing what's measurable and assessment. Do you, is that part of what you guys do? And
yeah, it's a great question. Actually, the way that a lot of our programs have developed is based on our own users' needs. And so we started running a lot of sort of human-centered design workshops for teachers. And then the first question that always came out of that was, this is great, but how do I do it in geography, or how do I do it in science? And so then we created a program we call Hack Your Curriculum, which is helping teachers to sort of embed these methods in their classroom. And the next question was always, this is really great, but how do I assess it?
Right.
And so we actually have developed a whole host of workshops and also online resources and programs for teachers to think differently about assessment. We call it journey-based assessment.
That's online?
Yeah,
so
we've got some resources.
Yeah,
we can put a link out to the website on there and some of the resources that we have. And so the idea behind it is like assessment is a journey, not an event. And how do we measure things that are authentic, so that because you still need the data, right? Like you have to be able to collect what's working and what's not working, and but using a holistic approach to that and having a wide variety of inputs, like not just pen on paper assignments, but like conversations and observations as well as products, and how do you embed those things in your classroom.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm excited to check that out because my school, we're working on that too, competencies. What is, I always ask the guest, what's one advice that you would give a teacher who wants to use design thinking in their classroom? What's one thing you'd kind of...
I would say like that bias towards action, just try it.
Right.
Go out there and do it. And like maybe start small. Think about you think of one day, you've got one lesson, like an hour or something with students. What's a small thing that you can go and try? And one of the resources that we have at Future Design School is an app that has lesson plans on it for teachers that are built around design thinking.
Oh, wow.
And so one of those is a 1 hour design sprint that you can do in your classroom with students on any subject.
Right.
And we always have them start with thinking about what's a real world connection. So you're teaching about ecosystems. Well, there's like tons of real world problems related to ecosystems, you know, or even history, like how do you do historical empathy? So imagining how would you solve this problem in the past, and finding that one thing that you think connects to the real world, and then just trying it. Like getting some resources, going on and seeing what other teachers have done, and, and doing one little thing, and not being afraid to mess it up.
Try it and do it again.
If you want your students to be risk takers, then you need to take some risks.
Model it.
So,
last question. I'm going blank. If a teacher wants to really understand, like for me, even though I've been doing it for a couple of years, I still feel like a novice because I'm learning about design thinking like every day, literally every day. And so what's one thing that you would tell a teacher to help them gain a better understanding of really what design thinking is? Because the first time you implement it, like you're saying, bias towards action, it's a very shallow understanding, right? So what's one thing that can kind of help them jumpstart that understanding?
I think going through the process yourself, like picking your own problem. And we have a certification program for teachers that we run where we have teachers go through their own like entrepreneurial journey and their own design thinking experience. That might be something that's not even related to teaching. Like maybe you pick a problem, like you see elderly people in your community that are struggling, or you know something that's actually passionate or interesting to you, and go through the process yourself. I think because you're right, it can seem shallow. Like when you see the nice little diagrams, like empathize, ideate, define, you know, like it can be a really shallow experience, but like you said, it just keeps getting deeper, right? Like I've been doing this for 14 years and I still am like, whoa, I have these moments where I realize like how you can change little things and you can go so deep into each of the steps. And I find that experiencing that yourself is the best way to then be able to do it with your students. So pick something and take yourself through a design thinking process and then go try it with your students.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for chatting.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the work that you do, and the resources that you share are like amazing. So thanks for having me on.
We'll appreciate it. All right, until next time.
Cool. Thanks.
See ya. Thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to Leslie for chatting with me about design thinking, even though she must have been so tired from helping organize and running the whole academy. Please make sure you follow her on Twitter, as well as her school, Future Design School, if you are interested in really cool resources that involve design thinking in education. Also, of course, please check out my book, Design Thinking in the Classroom, and please contact me if you or your school is interested in any support or consulting regarding design thinking in education. Links to everything I talked about will be in the description. So until next time, thank you so much. Peace.